Welcome home, Raiders! This week, WoW lost a couple of subs in Q2, but that's okay. The next expansion will be announced this week, and we have a lot more in store for you. This is CTR number 189.
You're listening to Convert to Raid, the podcast for Raiders in the World of Warcraft.
Podcast Power Station in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Today is August 4th, 2015. It's a Tuesday, and it's 9:14 in the p.m. Central. Oh my, the world is breaking apart as we speak. Thanks for joining us from all around World of Warcraft land. And hello, my name is Pat Crane. I am the host of this little broken show, and I'm also known as Zug from around Airy Peak, US. Normally I raid. Haven't done so in a little bit. Maybe I'll talk about it. I don't know. But the players are here. So first, let's go to sunny California, and we'll go check in with the man with the sunniest disposition of them all. It's Darius.
What?
Oh, hi. Hi, didn't mean to wake you.
I've been sitting here since Sunday. I forgot we changed times.
That's all right.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm awake.
Good. All right, let's go over to the other California and check in with a special guest from he's got a couple of different podcasts, right? It's Mick Montgomery. Hello.
Fortune cookies say.
No.
Co-host who does not prepare has no fortune cookie at all.
No, yeah. See, that was a fake out. That's a fake out.
It was a fake out. I can't steal somebody else's bit.
No,
that's not right. That's not right. But thanks so much, guys, for having me on the show tonight. I am so excited to hear.
You almost sent me back to therapy.
That was my goal.
Right. This close.
So let's talk to Mick for just a second, because you do a couple of different things. So you have a show called The Starting Zone, in which you talk about WoW.
That's correct.
And what kind of WoW stuff do you talk about on The Starting Zone?
Well, The Starting Zone originally started off as the World of Warcraft podcast for new players back in the Wrath of Lich King days, and has since evolved into the World of Warcraft podcast for new and experienced players. So I currently co-host that with Alt from Alternative Chat, who also does a couple other podcasts as well.
Cool.
So that's what we do over there.
Cool. And you also do the StormCast, right?
That's correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what's that one?
It's a Heroes of the Storm podcast. I think we were the second podcast to venture out into the Nexus for Heroes of the Storm, and that's been going on since 2014. Co-host that with a gentleman by the name of Another Notch, who is a streamer over on the Twitch stuff. We have a really good time and have had a lot of fun doing it, and it's been a blast to watch that community of players grow. It's been really awesome.
Cool. And you do other shows as well. From time to time. What are your other shows? I mean, we might as well just talk about them.
Right. So I have a little studio. It's called Spazbot Studios. It produces 4 podcasts right now. The other one is called Dead Fans Talking, which is a Walking Dead podcast.
Yeah.
Which we do when the show is up and running. Mm-hmm. And then we just launched a show last week called Super Heroic, where we talk about comic books that evolve into TV shows and movies. So all that Marvel stuff you guys love.
I don't know where you get any material. That hasn't happened at all. In the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's not even a thing, I don't think.
There's none of those that actually happened. So, we just kicked that show off last week, and we've been having a lot of fun. The response has been really great. Cool. That stuff available on iTunes.
And who do you do that show with?
That is actually a collection of a lot of different people who are contributing to that show. In fact, we have a gentleman from the Convert to Raid Grill, Spencer Downey. I know some folks Sir, he's going to be on the show with us this week. We have had a lot of kind of a variety of people. I've had a Zord from the Lords of the Storm podcast on the show last week, TBK Zord. So it's really kind of a rotation of folks coming in and out of that show. I'm usually there, but who knows who's going to be joining me. But we got some great folks that are participating and contributing. So it's been a lot of fun so far.
Awesome. Well, that's very cool. I need to check that one out. I missed your inaugural show, so I will have to.
Well, you know what? We do almost 2 to 3 episodes a week, so
jeez,
it's got a lot of catching up to do.
Tough to catch up on that. All right. Well, I've got my work cut out for me. So what have you guys been up to this week? And maybe, Darius, let's talk about the Convert to Mythic team. What have you guys been up to recently?
Well, let's see. When did we record? 3 months ago?
We recorded a week and a half ago. It's only been a week and a half, you dork.
Man, I'm so lost. I don't even know what day it is.
Dork of the week.
There we go.
We started last week. We killed Heroic, Manaroth, and we got all the way up to 12 of 13 Heroic, and we worked on Archimon. We worked on him again Sunday night. Mm-hmm. We almost killed him, but we still haven't killed him yet. So we're going to go back in on Thursday, skip the first 6 bosses that we don't need anymore, which is actually a really great thing that Blizzard's added. And then hopefully get him down this week. We've gotten really, really close to getting him down, but that boss is no joke, even on Heroic.
Right. And I did hear that we actually had a Convert to Raid guild team actually defeat Archimon and move on into Mythic mode, correct?
Yes. Yeah, we...
Tainted Core?
It's Tainted Core, got him down, and then I don't think they spent too much time on Hellfire Assault, the first trash boss in there.
Right.
But, congrats to them.
Absolutely. Actually, big applause! There we go! Congratulations, guys.
He's not a pushover, so... that's pretty good that they got him down.
Hellfire Assault, however, is kind of a pushover, right?
Yeah.
In any mode, it's fine. As we saw from the numbers last week, because Method just went in and one-shot it. Big deal.
A lot of teams are saying one-shot, yeah.
Right, one-shot robot. That's it. So that's awesome. Mick, have you been playing WoW? What's been going on?
I have. I'm on a bit of a break from raiding. It was one of those "it's not you, it's me" situations. So, because seriously, I mean, raiding is good. Raiding is really good in Warlords of Draenor. I mean, there's actually some of the fights for this particular expansion I've really enjoyed. In fact, can probably be in my top 10. I just needed to kind of branch out, though, Pat and Darius. I needed to branch out and sow my wild oats a bit. I just felt I needed to see other parts of the game. I just don't want to look back at my time in Azeroth and say to myself, I wish I had done more PvP. So,
this might not be the best expansion for PvP, Mick. Yeah. I'm not sure if you know that.
But I've been doing some digging into other stuff, but I've raided for a long time. So, it's starting to get it was getting a little demanding. I kind of felt like I was dating a woman who always wanted to go eat at Le Cirque. Sure. And, sometimes you just want to go eat at the Old Town Country Buffet.
Yeah. A little McDonald's maybe.
Yeah.
Spice it up.
I want some American cheese. I want American cheese and stuff. Right. So I've taken a little break. So I've been doing a lot of exploring. I've set it upon myself to get all the treasures and collect them all within Warlords of Draenor. So I've been doing a little bit of that. Jumping into LFR. Occasionally, if I see need somebody for a normal, I jump in. But for the most part, in terms of like a scheduled 2-3 nights a week raid team, I'm taking a break from that. But maybe we'll see. Depends on the news, I guess, on August 6th, just how excited I'll be to try and jump back into that.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We don't want to talk about the August 6th stuff.
Calm down.
We have stuff that happened today.
I can't wait. I'm about to pop.
We have show notes.
We have show notes, and you need to pay attention to them.
Watch me scroll. Watch me scroll.
Yes. Yes, as I said before, I'm not really raiding right now. I'm just logging in. I'm just doing my thing. With the garrison stuff still. Yeah, I do it. But then I play Rocket League. And but I just
Rocket League's just as frustrating as raiding sometimes.
Actually, sometimes it's more frustrating because you can't strafe. No strafing in Rocket League. But yeah, just I put the team together and I said what time I wanted to raid at, and for the last few weeks I haven't been able to make the raid time. So that's how messed up it is right now. But those guys are doing great. They're kicking some butt in Hellfire Citadel, so that's good.
Probably doing pretty well without you.
Oh, they're managing just wonderfully without me. Actually, they said don't come back. That's how well they're doing without me. So that's good. Before we go to the raid news, though, we actually wanted to say goodbye to somebody from the WoW community as he moves on with things. Bashiok. His mustache was a different character.
I think his mustache actually stayed.
Because
that was property of Blizzard.
Right.
So
right. I think so.
Yeah.
But after 12 years of being at Blizzard, Bashiok actually left to go to NCSoft and work as the senior content manager over there. So big congratulations to Bashiok for the move. I mean, that's huge, guys. This is like, I think Blizzard was his first real job, essentially. I mean, that was like his first professional job. And even though he isn't really that professional.
No.
Because we went to a thing over on the Blizzard campus, and he made margaritas, and they were very strong. So, I mean, he's kind of a wild guy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he's over at NCSoft now, senior content manager, starting the new gig. So Bashiok, we wish you well in your new gig, and he actually is going to be at BlizzCon though. So that's good stuff. So we'll see him there. That's
he told me he's already got his ticket, but he got a slight discount. So. He was able to go.
A slight discount. Oh, man. So there's that, and we'll get into the news, but according to our audience, that's you guys out there, you wanted to hear more Kragmar. So here's Kragmar.
Deep Thoughts with
Kragmar. I sat listening to conversations in Thunder Bluff and experienced deja vu. The feeling I've heard this bull before.
This has been Deep Thoughts with Kragmar.
Calling all raiders from around World of Warcraft land. This is raiding news.
I sometimes feel the same way.
I just get that bordered so close on a fortune cookie. You guys just
totally different. It's totally
you're
different.
pushing me.
It's totally
it's in a different voice entirely. There's background music.
There's background music that's a fully produced thing. It's not me either. It's Kragmar. It's just,
Yeah.
he puts it together. I just do
You can't fool me.
I just do the voiceover, so that's all I do.
I'm supposed to leave tomorrow for vacation. You can't.
Now you're going to have that in your head? Awesome. I love it. All right, well, let's check in and see what's happening with news for raiders around the World of Warcraft. And first up, we actually had the Q2 investment call today. It sounds very businessy when you say it, Q2. And there was nothing cutesy about it because Blizzard actually said that WoW is down 1.5 million subs, down to 5.6 million subs, and in all, this means that in 6 months, essentially,
WoW's done.
There's been like 4 point something million subs lost, right? Is that is my math right?
We were at almost 10.
Yeah,
at the beginning of the year. Yeah, and now we're down to 5.6.
So 4.5. 4.5 million.
Not the same as 10 million at the start of the expansion for sure.
Right. Right. Yeah, this one has a sharp tail on it.
Yeah.
Seems to be going way downhill. So now, did this surprise either of you guys? Mick, did this surprise you at all?
No, not at all. I felt that when we saw the last Q earnings, it was already down a considerable amount from what we saw when it launched. And everyone was super excited, like, oh, oh, Warlords of Draenor, everyone's back and it's awesome. And this expansion's great. And garrisons are the thing, man. You got to try your garrison. And apparently that wore pretty quickly on folks. So by, the Q1 reports, it was a little bit discouraging at the time to see how many folks had left the game or had dropped off the subs. And then I thought, well, all this brouhaha, because there was some negative stuff that happened over the last couple of months as it relates to World of Warcraft. They're not going to get totally out of that without some impact of some kind. And unfortunately, it was a little bit sharper than I thought it would be. But, I think we're at that point where now we're seeing subscription numbers at pre-Wrath of the Lich King numbers during Burning Crusade. And so that's something to take notice of. And whether or not Blizzard's going to respond to this as if, hey, this is this huge problem and we need to do something about it, or have they just kind of chalked it up to this is where we are in the arc of this game's lifespan, and now we've got to put out more content more frequently in order to get folks to jump back in quicker. So it's going to be interesting to see, I think, how Blizzard responds to this, because I got to be honest with you guys, as a player, when I see this happen, I get a little disappointed, and I know I probably shouldn't because it's not my problem, but I get a little disappointed when I see this game that has such a great community to see the populace cut in half within the course of six or 7 months. That's a little disheartening.
Yeah. Really? No, a little?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah. Right. So actually, the numbers, and I have them right here. Hold on one second. I'll pull them up on the old video stream here. Here we go. So the numbers say that if you look at the graph and you go all the way over from where we are now at 5.6 million subs, go all the way over. We're talking 2005 was the last time that we actually hit this same number. And that was on the upswing. And now we're on the downswing. Boy, that's vanilla. That's vanilla territory. Or sorry, classic. So, that's that is.
If we keep at this trend, there will be no subscribers by the end of next week. That's
right.
That's if I'm to believe the forums and everything.
Right. I think that's how math works. You're right.
Yeah. So,
but
I think
go ahead.
At this point, just shut it down. I mean, we talked about this last time, and it's nobody's playing anymore. I'd logged into, as soon as I got home right before the show, and every capital city was empty. There was nobody on. It was it was dead. So even the raid bosses went home.
Yeah.
All the raid bosses went home, just packed it up, and they said, you know what? We're just going to take a little vacay. We're going to take a vacation. We're going to take a couple weeks. We're going to think about ourselves. We're going to center ourselves, and then we'll just
it's summer. We'll come back in the fall.
Oh yeah.
That's another thing too. Summertime. Yeah, and we can blame it on that. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can blame it on anything, because I mean the Q2 stuff is April, May, June, right? So April, May, and June, that's quarter two. So maybe a summer thing. Probably not. Actually, one of the things that I thought was interesting was that Hellfire Citadel actually, they said that Hellfire Citadel, the release of that actually stabilized numbers a little bit for them, meaning that they were probably below that 5.6 million before Hellfire Citadel, and then people came back. So
sure, that's a good news story.
It's good that people came back. I mean, if you like having other people in the game with you, that's always good. So,
I think this is going to be, and Nick, we're now in this place where we need to understand, I think, or Blizzard needs to understand, and we as players, is this the trend of what the population of the game is going to do? And as expansions wear on, they're going to dip in significant ways and then shoot back up when maybe the new expansion comes back out or big giant content patches come out. And that makes sense. But I have to say, given some of the negativity of this particular expansion from the community standpoint, I think the numbers are a little bit starker because of that. I can't chalk all this up, Pat and Darius. I can't chalk this all up to just, hey, it's summertime.
No. You don't lose 1.5 million because of summertime.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
We can't blame Greece either. No, this is not Greece's fault.
It could be.
Yes, it's all Greece's fault. Thank you. So what, Darius, what do you think were some of the issues that people are facing that may be causing them to cancel their sub?
I mean, we talk about this every time numbers get posted. We talked about it all through, Miss, and now we're talking about it here again. Mm-hmm. WoW is a 10-year-old game. and you can't expect subscribers to stay around forever. Wrath of the Lich King might have been the height of the subscription numbers, but the game's 10 years old. People that even were around in Wrath that might have been around from Classic, they're older now. People are getting older. They start families. They stop playing games. Whatever it is, other things come along. There's a million other games out there to grab your attention.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're losing players isn't a scary thing at all.
Right.
The fact that they lost a ton seems huge, but you also have to look at the fact that they gained a ton. They gained almost 3 million from the end of Mist to Warlords. That was a huge number. If you look at just the end of Mist before Warlords and now, it's only down maybe $1.5 million or 2 million.
Yeah.
Which is to be expected. I think. But overall, Blizzard is doing really, really well. They are cannibalizing their own sales and their own subscriptions too, but they're willingly doing it. They know what they're doing.
Right.
If people are playing Heroes and Hearthstone and Diablo and stuff, and creating a bigger Blizzard ecosystem, it only helps all of the games. So
yeah, well, and you talked about what I was going to go into next. That was a nice segue. That was great. So Blizzard is doing just fine, and they had record profits for this quarter over last year, especially, and that's usually how you compare it year to year. And Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and Destiny combined now have more than 70 million registered players. Just between those three games. Those three games. That's insane. And Hearthstone, I know that they said had 30 million registered users when they launched mobile, right? Because they launched mobile, they had a huge upswing in numbers of users, and so they have 30 million registered users there. And yes, it's a free game, but yes, people are dumping tons of money into that game because the new expansion is coming out, and if you want to buy 50 packs, it's $50. So and Heroes of the Storm is huge right now. Everybody's playing it except for Dairies.
I play Heroes. Get out of here. Don't play Hearthstone.
But I mean, Heroes is a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with Heroes. I'm having a ton of fun with Heroes. I'm having a ton of fun with Hearthstone. And and WoW to me seems broken right now, which is sad. A little bit. I mean, to me it seems like, and I think the expansion was not great for many reasons, but rating was really good, and I know that we've talked about all this different stuff before, but with this expansion, I mean, it kind of took the MMO out of MMOs. It took the massively multiplayer and made it into single player mode for me.
Yeah,
kind of with the garrisons and with professions and with even like flexible rating. I was psyched about it for a while. And then I'm like going, well, is that really doing anything for community? I don't know. I think it doesn't really put the onus on anybody to show up for a raid night because they know they can miss.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could do that, sure. But I think also, too, there was never an injection of more stuff to do as a guild that was specific to your guild as well. So we had this great, guild system in place for achievements and experience at Cataclysm, and then did nothing with it again. So the small sub-communities with World of Warcraft haven't really had anything for them to do as a group that isn't raiding or isn't, organized PvP play. Right. And I think that's disappointing, too, because that lack of identity for these guilds in what the content is and does, and that kind of idea where you're kind of rooting like, oh yay, we did this and now we have this unlocked, that's awesome, way to go team, that's not there as well. And so that makes this, and also too, let's be honest, a really lacking story overall for Warlords of Draenor that just didn't seem to go in the direction I think, at least I hoped and many other players hoped. So as a whole, there's too many strikes against this expansion for players to hang around when Blizzard is presenting them with options that are just as fun and doesn't have the commitment level that an MMO has.
Right. And I'm seeing this in the chat room too, just to back it up on flex rating. I really liked flex rating, and I know that it's the thing that a lot of people need to be able to raid. And that's awesome. And especially like these smaller guilds and stuff like that, and they can get together with whoever. That's great. I just don't know that it does enough for community in and of itself. I think it's kind of goes along with garrisons, with professions, with all that stuff that they brought into Warlords. It kind of makes it seem like it's more your game that you can do whatever you want with, instead of have, responsibility to your team, which means that it kind of builds that community. It kind of makes you make friends. And so I think it kind of went the opposite way and maybe made people go, well, I don't need to raid. And then after a few weeks, they go, well, I don't need to raid. And then they go, oh, I haven't raided in a month and a half, and I don't really miss it. So why don't I just cancel my sub? And so maybe it's stuff like that too. So Darius, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I was as someone pointed out in the chat room, it's pretty obvious that the majority of the subscribers left at the same moment that Colt left CTR.
Okay.
So there's obviously a strong correlation there. So we can, remove those players. But I was reading about it today, and Rignaros from formerly of Blood Legion, was having one of his signature rants on Twitter about all of this. And he was talking about, and I agree with him, they do very little to keep people wanting to stay in the game. Even if it's not playing, just keep an active subscription. They don't offer you any incentive to keep your subscription active, or to keep coming back to the game or anything like that, especially between expansions.
Right.
At the end here, like we are now, Star Wars Galaxies, I used to play that, and they did this amazing thing where every couple months it started where it was like, if you had a 1 month subscription and then 2 months, then 6 months or whatever, you got something. Even if it was a pet or mount or something, people wanted to keep an active subscription, so they got those things. And Blizzard doesn't do anything like that, so it doesn't hurt people that are on the fence to cancel their subscription. Warlords isn't that great, and they make it part of the way in, and like, well, I don't care, so I'm just going to cancel, and maybe I'll resub when another expansion comes out. And that's definitely what's happened here. You get a lot of people that are on the fence that are likely going to leave anyway, all leave at once, instead of keeping their subscription active.
Right. Riggs is still a part of Blood Legion. He is.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he's raid leading or what his personal story is. I think he's still the raid leader for Blood Legion, and Blood Legion is still raiding. They're doing the mythic push and stuff like that. Now, it was kind of funny because he was also talking about how he wasn't sure that it was necessary. And we're going to get to this too on Thursday's expansion thing at Gamescom that they're going to be talking about. They will announce the next expansion. And he said, I don't know that it's the right time to be rushing into a new expansion. And I replied to it and I said, I don't think they're actually I think they're rushing out of the old one. I think they're like, you know what? It's time to cut and run, boys. And now we see why, because these numbers are pretty telling as far as just being able to keep butts in the seats. And they haven't been able to do it on this expansion. And so it's been it's been frustrating for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. So it's just been kind of a weird expansion. And I don't think they've really found their footing at all. Just seems like it's always just way too much one way or the other for folks. Yeah. So one of the things he mentioned too, and I agree with this, and this is one of the things that got me in trouble in the past with talking about LFR. But get ready, bombshell. Blizzard has gone out of their way to hand everything to everyone that plays the game. There we go.
And there's no carrot on the stick anymore. There's mythic content for what Blizzard considers the 1%, but there's almost nothing else anymore. And I feel like they should have that. They should have more of that. They should not be handing everything to everyone. Let me just back this up and say that I agree with you in part because garrisons were horrible. Yeah, as far as as they gave people loot. Yeah, here's everything that were above where they were at. And people outfitted themselves through garrisons, and then once they got into the raid, they didn't need anything. Yeah, it was everything. It was loot. It was all of your pets, your mounts. Like you could get a lot of those from that, or just doing solo content that was just grinding. It was your herbs and your ore. I mean, everything. There was no incentive to want to do more. So then people missed out on all this content, and they said, "Oh, there is no content." Yeah, there was. In certain aspects, there was less content in other expansions, but there was also a lot of stuff out in the world that they just handed to you. Well, I mean, they handed everything to you in your garrison, which was definitely part of the problem. And professions were an issue, and
I mean, just there was
there actually had to be something there for it to actually be an issue. I mean,
yeah.
That whole part of the game, which I know some folks really enjoyed playing, I know I did, felt very pared down in this expansion. It didn't seem like there was actually that much there to do. And so I think I think at the end, it sounds shocking, but even though they had 14 months to get us this expansion, it still felt kind of rushed when we actually ended up getting it. And it didn't have the same features that we saw in other expansions. And so you're kind of left with what you have. And I think the player base took a look at that and said, not enough for me, Rocket League, and
hey, Rocket League is an awesome game.
Exactly. That's, but I would say this, I think if there's a game studio out there that has it in them to do something to turn it around, or at least make it at least a 90-degree shift and turn, I think it's Blizzard Entertainment. I think that this is an opportunity as a company for them to say, you know what, we've still got some gas in our tank. And I think that they've got some ideas. And I think that's something that I'm at least looking forward to. I'm at that point where I know this expansion isn't what I wanted, but I also know I'm willing to give this company, who's proven time and time again that they can do great things, another shot.
And that's a cat in the frame, Darius. That's a cat in the frame in your camera shot.
There?
Not sure.
Is there?
Cat
Not.
butt. Cat
Can't
butt.
tell.
Oh,
I can't tell.
So yeah. I mean, I get it. But one of the issues that I have. Okay, so we talked about how Blizzard has 70 million registered users with Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and Destiny. They have 5 million for WoW. 5.6 million for WoW. Do you think that they're going to be putting a lot of power behind WoW, or are they gonna give it the same amount of juice that they've always done, or are they going to be looking to Hearthstone and Heroes and Destiny and those type of games and Overwatch instead of looking at a game that might be considered generational now because it's 10 years old? And so now we're talking about switching generations, and they haven't been able to switch it to that younger generation. Really, it still seems to me to be like guys in their mid 30s, 40s playing this game. The majority, of course. There are always exceptions, but it doesn't seem like the younger crowd is really rushing to the MMO genre in general, let alone World of Warcraft. So, I don't know. Darius, do you think that they're going to give WoW the same juice that they always have?
It's hard to tell because we don't know how much money they're making from Hearthstone and Heroes, and
it's safe to say a lot because I have all the heroes. Not really,
but per person, does the average person spend the $60 every 2 years and then $15 a month on those games? Right. Or are they spending $1? A month, or no dollars. You've got a lot of people that don't put any money into it at all. So WoW still has that subscription model and the $60 expansion every 2 years. So they get a lot of money from that.
Yep.
Yep. So it's hard to know. I mean, I think I want to say that Blizzard, and I don't know for sure, but I want to say Blizzard is a smart enough company to say at some point, okay, we don't have the resources or we don't have the money coming in on WoW. So that's it. Not we're going to continue to develop it, and each expansion is going to get worse and worse. I don't know. I want to hope so they don't ruin the game that I love. But
yeah,
never know.
It is a possibility. I mean, we'll see. I'm guessing that they will still have all the artists and all the guys that we've seen and gotten to know over the last however many years still put their best foot forward into these expansions. I am hoping that is still the case. I'm guessing that it will. I haven't heard of any big changes over at Blizz or anything like that on the World of Warcraft team. They've only gotten bigger as far as I know. So, and these other games are supporting World of Warcraft too during these sub slides essentially. So that's good. I did tweet out, to everybody, hey, what do you think the reasons are why, numbers are maybe not looking so great? And there were a variety of answers, as always. And I posted some of them in our show notes, and I'll just kind of hit on a few. One said it's the end of the expansion. The end of expansion raid is out. It's par for the course. Spencer, who's going to be on your show, Mick, he said, I used to raid to get gear that made the challenging things outside of raiding easier. Right now I raid, then wait to raid again. And that's kind of interesting. And I've heard that a lot from a lot of different players. So outside of raiding, what is there to do? Nothing.
I mean, when you log in right now, you click a couple buttons and walk around to a couple buildings in your garrison, and you're done. That used to not be the case.
Right. I mean, we're seriously discounting the shipyard.
Right. I mean, the shipyard is a marvel to behold.
Yeah,
it's another table in my garrison.
Until they gave everybody another lazy way and stuck the table in the garrison, I had to leave my garrison to go do that.
Right. Yeah. So that was another good. Why it saves me some time anyway. They gave me the little thing that you could click on to go down there, and then a couple weeks later, I just got the table in my garrison in my main building right there.
Yeah.
That was. Now I don't have to click that button anymore to click more buttons. That's good. Let's see. Richard says our playstyle has changed. People want faster rewards with less effort and time invested. It's that simple. Yeah. I mean, that's why Heroes of the Storm is doing so well. That's why Rocket League is doing so well. When you can hold it to 5-minute games or half-hour games or whatever. I mean, you know, that's pretty easy, right? I like it. Mick, you seem to like it.
I love it. I think it is plugging into that niche that I know I need as an older player. When I don't have, the time to burn 4 or 5 hours in WoW and I've got maybe an hour, I can jump over to Heroes and get 2-3 matches. And that's what I do. So I do think that type of play style is appealing to, I think, a World of Warcraft audience. And trust me, everybody that I play, all my friends on friends list that I play in Heroes, all the folks I play with, all WoW players, all former WoW players, all folks that let subs lapse because this is what they have more time to do this, and they can still play with the same people that they love. And that's what Blizzard's done. They've built a community around their games that was born out of the World of Warcraft player base. And that is really super smart. And the games they're delivering to us, like I said, you can get in, you can get out. I mean, it's not the 5-minute matches you're getting in Rocket League, but a good solid Heroes match can be anywhere from 12 to 15 to 20 minutes long, and then you're done. That's super appealing to folks that just have an hour to kill, on a weeknight, and they want to get in and have some fun with their friends.
Right. By the way, if you're playing Rocket League and you want to join a Steam community for it, just look for the American Rocket League of America. That's the group that I started to go. We might do some tournaments, Rocket League tournaments, but I mean, Heroes of the Storm tournaments. Those are huge. Hearthstone tournaments. Those are huge. We're actually seeing a really big push into esports from Blizzard now. I mean, we've always seen it with Arena, and it's never really PvP. Watching it on the screen and not doing it has never really interested. It's kind of like baseball for me. I like to play baseball. I don't like to watch baseball. And so, I mean, but the esports that we're seeing out of Blizzard now, we're looking at, Heroes of the Storm, we're looking at Hearthstone, and Overwatch is coming. So get ready for that. And the esports stuff is just a big push from Blizz, and that's really good to see too. So it's awesome.
And that's really the ways of the future, I think, for Blizzard is the esport presentation. And as that team that is devoted just to esports and Blizzard continues to grow and grow and grow and do really smart things like the Heroes of the Dorm tournament back in April.
Yeah.
Those are things that I think Blizzard wants to try and get into. They want to be more mainstream media as well, and not just the company that makes really awesome games. I think they want to have a presence in media. They're going to have a presence next year in cinemas around the world. And I think that they are diversifying. And I think the okay thing, because I know a lot of players will see these numbers today and be like, man, World of Warcraft, shoot.
That was pretty good. That was nice. Nice quote.
Was it nice? Yeah, that's exact. I took that directly from someone on Twitter.
Right. So makes sense then. All right.
It relates. It's relatable. people are still in your community on Battle.net, and they're still playing these games that you love to play, and they're still all there. And I think that's what Blizzard is really trying to speak to. And I think WoW is going to come to the point where it's not the forefront anymore. I don't think it's the forefront now, but I do think that game has its moments within the course of a year where it really speaks to players and draws in numbers. And that's what's going to happen for a while now. It's going to be a very cyclical experience for the community.
Yeah, and I heard, I saw that earlier. Somebody was like wrote an article and said, the age of the MMO is kind of going away a little bit, and we're going to start to see how many butts can you put in the seats over the course of time rather than how many subs do you have right now. And that's kind of an interesting thing as well. So I don't know what that does for rating, though, because rating is an end game investment. So
it is.
For rating, it's kind of scary. So, on some levels, I think that we'll always have end game rating. We'll always, be able to see that stuff. I mean, as Blizzard reminded us in their phone call, World of Warcraft is still the largest MMO in the world. So they made sure to say that in the phone call and remind us, because I mean, I think that if a lot of MMOs get a million subs and they're really super happy, and these guys have 5 times that. So that's amazing as well. So I don't have fear that we'll get shorted on rating, but I just kind of wonder exactly what that means for the rest of WoW, for everything else. I mean, I just have concerns. That's all.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Really,
no questions, Mick. Sorry.
No
sorry.
questions.
Shoot. I was going to ask.
Okay.
So for you guys have been playing. You guys have been raiding all through this expansion, raiding a long time. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that raiding is pretty dialed in? Do you feel like it's stayed consistently good and of good quality? Because I feel like the raiding component of the game has been good. Obviously, this switch to Mythic and all that fun stuff had its own inherent problems for this particular expansion, and folks had to adapt from managing teams and such. But the quality of the raids seemed to be really good. So I guess the question is, that seems dialed in. If that can stay and continue to be consistent and continue to track that players, then really at the end of the day, isn't it the other stuff around it that needs to be enhanced?
Darius, do you have an opinion on this?
No, just better rating.
Better rating?
Just more rating.
But it was
just
more rating.
Just all rating.
All rating all the time. No, yeah. I definitely think that if they really want to improve World of Warcraft, they have to do something outside of rating, because right now there's nothing to do outside of rating, which is why I think we're starting to see these subs just kind of disappear.
That's what somebody texted me today, and they were asking about this, and that's exactly what I said. He was saying how he feels like WoW is broken, but he doesn't know how. Like he just doesn't feel. He knows something's wrong, but he doesn't know what it is or how to fix it. And I was thinking the same way that, like, I have no idea, and you would think a talking head on the internet would be the most qualified person, to fix something like this. But honestly, I don't even know, because I felt like MOP was good, but it slipped and slipped and slipped, and now we're in this deep hole, and I don't know how to get back out of it. I don't know what they need to do.
Well, I know the first thing that they need to do is they need to bring back community, and they need to bring back people. Yes. I mean, they've made their bank off of making guilds, making raid teams, because I know a lot of people that are still raiding right now and not doing anything else, and they're saying raiding is the only thing that is keeping me playing WoW right now. And the rating's good. The rating's great. I mean, I question the flex rate thing a little bit, but I still understand it, and I still, appreciate it that they tried something. But it's, man, I tell you, the rating is good. Everything else is kind of crappy.
It seems like maybe the garrisons and some other things were an attempt to maybe reinvigorate. I don't know. Maybe they were short-sighted. Maybe they just had no idea the impact they were going to have. But something needs to change. Not just change. Something needs to have, like a huge shift needs to happen.
Right.
It's not, we'll add more pet battles or something like that. I don't think that's going to work. I think it's going to take something pretty big.
Do you think that some of these quality of life improvements that we've seen, like looking for group, LFR, flex rating, these things that were kind of introduced because it was like, hey, we know you guys don't have as much time to waste doing the thing where you dance on the mailbox and try and get people's attention. So, hey, we made this awesome thing to match you up. It's going to save you a lot of time. Do you think that these things have ultimately over time cost us that thing that you talked about so importantly, Pat, which is community? And that's the thing that I think has hurt us. I think that is the issue. I think folks used to log in WoW and hang out.
Right.
They don't have a reason to. So do you think that that's part of it? Like maybe we should pull back on some of this stuff?
Well, I don't know if necessarily pulling back. So here's the deal. So I think that, garrisons especially were kind of one of those things. Everything is kind of led to a solo player experience, right? LFR is part of that. LFG is part of that. But I mean, there's also, you want some kind of ease to get into that, especially if you don't have time or you don't have, the friends to really group together and do things and whatever the case may be. But I think that there needs to be a balance between having some kind of ease to get into a situation and yet building community somehow. You have to be able to build it. And I think that they should bring back more guild achievements and stuff like that. I mean, because I know Miss Pandaria was really great for the CTR guild because we made a ton of money off of all the achievements that everybody was getting every single week. And now we're losing money every single week on every little piece of things. So, but it's kind of one of those things where I really like the guild achievements and you could see them go off all the time. And yeah, it did bring in money, but who cares about that? It was more about getting the people together and getting them into these different dungeons. I think that, maybe one of the things was that we didn't have Valor anymore. So we didn't have reason to run these dungeons over and over again, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there's all these little things that could be part of it, but I think just overall they need to build in community more because I really do feel like this is a single person game in an MMO world. And that's kind of weird. It's weird, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Aries, what do you think?
I just don't know how to. I agree. It's probably the little things, the missing of the Valor and the LFG tool and Group Finder and Garrisons making it like things that they considered to be quality of life improvements that one off we were really excited for, one at a time when they added them, but they all add up and now nobody's talking to each other and we just log into raid and, that's it. So how do we fix it? I got no idea. And that's,
I'm seeing all sorts of crap pop up in chat right now. I mean, it's just like everything just killed WoW. So
my former co-host is in there just stirring the pot, which is
well, I mean, how do you create the Grand Canyon? Well, you just pressure and time, right? So I mean, it's just all this water just flowing through, and they're making improvements, and they're chopping little pieces out of the ground, and all of a sudden you have the Grand Canyon. And you're like going, how did I get down here?
Yeah, and I mean that's like I said last week. That doesn't mean that. I mean, I really like WoW because the rating is really good right now, and I don't really do much else outside of it. Yeah. So, I'm happy, but obviously a lot of people are not.
Right.
So, I'm not the right person to ask on how to fix it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know you do. I don't know if you. Well, obviously we won't. Mick, what were you going to say?
There's three of us. There's a good chance one of us can fix it, right?
I think I can fix it by just making us go back to Wrath of the Lich King. Remember that, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
That was the most hated expansion to date when it was going. So that's great.
There's many people playing that.
That's what Blizzard's going to say. They're going to say, all right, you wanted that content. You really liked it. You want to go back. Next expansion is just Wrath of the Lich King again. You don't even have to buy it.
And next expansion will go, oh my God, wasn't Miss Pandaria great? Wasn't Warlords great compared to this expansion? Oh, geez.
No. I don't
Let's just go as low as they possibly can.
Let's hope not. Oh, man. Should we move on to Gamescom?
No. I think so.
Let's do. I think we've probably stomped that horse into the ground. So Gamescom is happening this weekend. It actually starts on August 6th in Germany, in Cologne, which I find very funny because there are a bunch of stinky nerds there, and they go to Cologne. Anyway, maybe it's just me.
Best kind of nerd, though, Pat, is the stinky nerd.
Yeah. When it gets hot there, I've heard stories. It's horrible. horrible. Anyway, so they're going to be going to Gamescom. Blizzard is going to be there. They've got a bunch of stuff going on at Gamescom, including Hearthstone show matches, quizzes, Heroes of the Storm, YouTuber matches, and stuff. And they're also going to do a live stream event to announce the new World of Warcraft expansion. Let's get the heck out of Dodge. Okay, sure. What are we going to do? Let's announce it. Okay, so they're going to announce it outside.
Expansion. See the expansion, everybody?
So they're doing this outside of BlizzCon, which is different.
Well, they've done this before.
Yeah.
They announced one of the other expansions they announced at Gamescom.
Thank you for that great bit of information.
I can't remember which now.
So the rumors are flying. We're trying to predict all these different things, and I thought, we might do a little bit of a prediction on this show as well. Why not? It's only a couple of days away, so let's see how wrong we can be. There's been a bunch of speculation already. One thing, and who knows if this is actually true or just kind of some kind of weird web thing. Imagine that. Weird stuff happens on the internet. But Blizzard apparently has filed a new trademark listing for Council of Glades. Who knows what that's about? Mm-hmm. There's been other things like Eye of Ashara, The Dark Prophet. These are all titles that have been kind of in the ether. Mm-hmm. And is there any validity to any of this? Mick, do you know? Mick, what do you say?
Well,
you're a reliable news source.
You said you could fix this, so
yeah, exactly. I did. It was going back in time to Wrath and Lich King. That's how it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Nope. Okay. I don't know what exactly it's going to be. I think that what I believe now is that some of these trademark registrations are a little bit of a red herring to throw us off the scent, because they obviously caught on to the fact that, folks were beginning to pin what the titles of the games were by checking that stuff out. Mm-hmm. I do know there was an interesting a bit of data mining from the website that someone had put up on the forums over at MMO Champion about which cache file or which files within the web page itself for World of Warcraft got bigger over the weekend, including files for classes and files for the heroic class. So I don't know exactly what this is going to be. And for the first time in my life as a player, I actually don't care. I kind of just want to be surprised. I don't want to walk into this expansion and then come out of it going, well, they didn't give me my Emerald Dream again. I just want to just kind of let the experience wash over me.
They didn't give me the More Orcs expansion. Why didn't they give me the More Orcs expansion? Yeah. That's what everybody's saying. It's the Orcs of the Orcs. Come on. That's the title.
I would like to get away from that trend and into some trend with some lore that I haven't seen. And one of the things that was really exciting to me that I know some of our listeners said to us was this idea of Greymane for, the Worgen going rogue against away from the Alliance and taking on the Forsaken in a little bit of a war between those two races that kind of throw the two factions into a little bit of chaos. And first time I thought to myself, yeah, that's pretty good. And then if I could borrow the guys from Azeroth Roundtable and their idea for a pirate expansion, if I could pull that into this, and if I could yank maybe ninjas, if I get pirates and ninjas and werewolves versus zombies, I think I'm in. I think I'm in.
Wow.
What about Murlocs?
Those two, just
just for flavor.
Yeah.
We'll just throw the Murlocs in because you always need Murlocs, right?
Murloc ninja pirates. I'd be down for that.
How about Murlocs that are ninjas? That's fine. I'm good with that as well.
I don't know. All right. So let's see here. Where to start? Okay, so I'm going to go through a list here, guys, and I want you to kind of tell me, Mick, we've kind of heard from your camp a little bit. You're saying South Seas, ninja pirates, zombie wolves, with Murlocs added in. Darius, do you have specific predictions about Thursday's announcement? Like, do you have a title? A working title?
It's going to be a title.
Yeah, a title. Well, you don't have to have one. I'm just wondering.
It's gonna be named after one of the greatest movies ever created.
Okay.
It's going to be called Waterworld.
Awesome.
It's going to be 9 underwater zones. There'll be all of the raids will be underwater. You'll only be able to raid it. What is it? Like 5 minutes at a time or whatever until your breath runs out. You have to go back up.
That's a hardened rage right there.
Yep. So don't wipe.
Right.
It's all it's going to be pretty good.
Okay.
You won't have to fly because there's no flying underwater, so
right.
No one can complain about that.
Right. Scubas.
Yeah.
You're just going to scuba everything. I don't know.
And it's going to be all Murlocs will be the new race and class.
Right.
That is only playable by those that reached level 100 without picking a faction.
Well, only level 125 because we're going to go up to level 125, yes. Guys. Oh, do you think
they're actually doing the level squish, and everyone's starting at level 9, and you will go from 9 to 10.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. It'll take a day, and you're done. Awesome.
It's 3 quests in your garrison, and you go from 9 to 10.
No, not more garrison.
You can actually level up from mining in your garrison.
Everything you said was wrong.
What?
Everything you said was wrong. Okay.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, what do you think is going to happen, Darius, in your skewed mind? Is anything going to happen with Gul'dan at all? Gul'dan.
I mean, he's going to drown, but that's about it.
he just goes over and he drowns, and then
turns out he can't swim.
Turns out he can't swim. Oh, that's how.
Man, he has all that fell energy, and he just can't swim.
He can't swim. I mean, it's his kryptonite.
Okay. All right. Mick, do you think we're going to see Gul'dan be chased around and then... I don't know. I
think without a shadow of the doubt, I think Gul'dan is going to be a part of the expansion. Whether or not he's the quote-unquote big bad or just simply some sort of instigator or agent of Sargeras or whatever that happens to be for him, I think remains to be seen. But I don't think any of us want to see Gul'dan, as the kind of main focus. Again, at least I don't know if any of the gentlemen on this show want to tonight. I know I don't, but I don't mind seeing him as flavor to whatever kind of villainous plot we are up against for this next expansion. I just don't want it to be just him. I want something big and huge.
I don't want to see him in a cinematic. I don't want to see him in any questing. I just want him to go like the opening thing. If he goes and he dies right away, I'm cool with that. That's fine. If he goes in and just like gets beheaded or something, I don't know what. But if he just goes in and just like immediately dies, then okay, fine. Put that in a cinematic. That's great. But I don't want to see any quests. I don't want to do this whole thing like we did with Siege of Orgrimmar leaking over into Warlords of Draenor. I don't want my peanut butter on the chocolate. I don't want them mixed at all. Just leave it alone. It's too soap opera-ish.
So he just goes through the dark portal. I think he gets sent through, right?
And then he drowns.
The other side is just water or just it's a conveniently placed spike wall.
Right. Ashara is just right there and just like kills him for some reason. I don't even care.
Just whacks his head off and just take out of the water. Speech, huh?
It.
Exactly. Just let's start it off with a bang. What do you say, guys? Now, do you guys? What do you? Let's talk a little bit about. I don't really have a specific storyline in mind, but I do think that there's some validity to trolls and night elf kind of expansion. Who knows? Maybe a little Eye of Ashara. Who knows? Type of thing. South Seas type of thing. Pirates. That could work.
You're basically saying what I said, an underwater expansion. I mean,
no,
we're saying
not underwater.
We have some level of return to the ocean depths of some kind. I mean, I don't need necessarily a whole zone, but I think that I wouldn't be super opposed to something.
Yeah,
we can do a giant submarine.
Turns out when we were all in Draenor, nobody was keeping the goblins in check. They created a bunch of machines, global warming, Northrend melted, everything's underwater.
That's it. It's the ecological expansion for World of Warcraft. That's what it is, and we have to repair.
Blizzard's dream message.
We have to repair Northrend and bring it back to.
I get to go back to Northrend.
That's the way we do it. Okay. All right. Cool.
I'm down for this.
So if we have the expansion announcement on Thursday, timing wise, what does this look like for the next expansion? Mick, I'm going to go to you first because obviously Darius shouldn't do nighttime broadcasting. So what do you think, Mick?
I found it to be funny. I think timing wise, I think that we are in the era of seeing an expansion almost every year. That's what I believe is the case. I started saying this, and I'm holding to my guns a bit, that World of Warcraft wants to have some kind of content that is new and exciting in and around the time that the movie is released. I'm not saying that Legendary and Blizzard are working hand in hand on any sort of real cross-promotional thing in that respect, but I do think that they want some sort of exciting product to be in place when that movie hits, so that they can, more players that are people that might be interested in checking out World of Warcraft after seeing the movie will go and find an excited and fun player base that's there and engaged. Now, that being said, if we stick to a year timeline, I think that we're seeing something maybe in January and then some major content patch of some kind by the time we get there, which leaves a very short beta program, which I don't think that's going to happen. So unless they blow our minds at Gamescom and say, and the beta is live tomorrow, which I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to do something around
I have predicted that time and time again, that they will announce an expansion and just say, and it's playable right now.
I would be awesome, wouldn't it?
No, and it never happens at all.
No. But I do think at BlizzCon, and Darius, you were at BlizzCon this year. I think you probably talked to a few devs at the party and stuff. I think that there was an overwhelming excitement for the internal staff at Blizzard about having Warlords of Draenor coming out the week after BlizzCon. So I wouldn't be surprised if the beta goes live right around BlizzCon. We get 3 months to 4 months of beta content, which means we see this expansion sometime in March or April of next year. That's what I think is going to happen. And therefore, we're seeing an expansion a year and a half after the last one.
All right. Darius.
My prediction is
other
that
than underwater zones,
we will see a beta before the end of summer, and that the release will be the week after BlizzCon again. And then we will see, as he pointed out, we will see a major content patch for the movie to coincide with the movie.
Well,
but I think we're going to see something sooner rather than later. And there's been slight evidence. People have been pulling files from the beta realms that they used to test betas in the past, and those have gone live and things have been active on those, which leads to think that maybe they have something to show off for Gamescom. If they have anything to show off at all, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a beta.
Well, they did say that nothing would be playable at Gamescom, which is understandable, right? I mean, other than Warlords of Draenor, however you want to pronounce it.
That new expansion. The new expansion.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 8 months old. 8 months. 8 months, guys, and we're already talking about a new expansion.
I don't think Blizzard gets a lot of valuable feedback from the beta being in the hands of millions of people. I think they get it from the people that they target, that they know are going to provide constructive feedback for the beta. And I think we're going to see a much smaller beta this time, and we're going to see a quicker beta.
Well, and I think I think they've even said that. The devs have said that, because they did the year, what was it called again? I can't even remember what it was called when they had the year. You could buy a year of WoW and get into the beta.
For
Mists.
For Mists.
And they said, no, it was great to have all those people in there, but I just don't know exactly how much they helped out in the process, because just having more people in there doesn't mean that everybody's talking back to the devs.
Right. And I think they said that beta experience, they wish they had not done that as well.
Correct.
Do that. So I don't think we'll see that again. But I would love for Darius' timeline to be true. I would love it for it to be true, because I think that's what players have been asking for, is more content faster. And this expansion would in theory be short, but that's what you've been asking for, players.
Right. And that's what they promised us. They promised more content faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't.
I just don't think this is going to be an expansion that is just going to, this is my personal opinion. I don't think story-wise, I would love it to be South Seas, and I'd love to see this, rebellion of the Worgen against the Forsaken. But I don't think that we're done with whatever's been started in Warlords of Draenor. I think there's some level of thematic carry through to the next expansion. Where we land in terms of either back in Azeroth proper or another world, I have no idea. But you know what? I don't think that we're quite done with what we've seen.
Right, and it's tough because I kind of think of these new expansions, especially if they're trying to do them in a year or whatever. It seems like they're probably they have to peel back something, right? So it's either the leveling experience or some other type of thing, or the amount of raids or whatever. If they're gonna sneak that in every year, that kind of cycle. So if that's the case, then we're only going to see a couple of raids per expansion and then move on to the next thing and probably have a reduced leveling experience and probably have, if that's the way that we're going. So it's interesting stuff.
Right. Maybe this is how Blizzard gets, because a lot of people are paying for the game right now with gold, and right. I seriously doubt the amount of people buying gold makes up for the amount of people paying for their subscriptions via gold. So maybe this is how Blizzard compensates for that: is they release a $50 expansion every year, and they get the same amount of money out of you one way or the other.
Maybe.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
We'll show up for that. We're proving that we'll show up for that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, just look at the numbers in Warlords, spike back up to 10 million.
Exactly.
Right on. Well, you know what? I know that we're running kind of long tonight, and I know that Mick, you have a pretty busy night. You're doing like 3 different shows, editing another one.
It's okay.
All on Tuesday night. So, boring night for you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, talk about nerdy fun stuff like this. So.
Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting week this week because we have all the numbers coming out. We have the new expansion, so we've got a lot of speculation and a lot of chatter going on about World of Warcraft, and all that stuff is really great. So it's good to be talking about this stuff, and it's really good to be talking about this stuff on a podcast like this, and we're seeing it happen on all the podcasts right now. It's been quite the time. So let me play. I'm gonna play this music.
Whoa, we're just gonna skip all the way to this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm skipping all the way to the end, man.
It's like 40 or 50 pages of notes that we just skipped.
We'll maybe come back to some of that stuff later. Who knows? There's not much going on in the BattleNet news or anything. I mean, it's kind of a slow week for that stuff. Right?
But next week it'll be pretty big. I think there's a lot of stuff coming out at Gamescom this week.
And actually, there's a rumor going around that Hearthstone might come out with their next expansion next week. I think sometime next week.
Soon, yeah.
I think that's the word on the street. So be looking for that. And Rocket League, of course, is still the thing.
Yes, it is.
That's it. Do we have any reviews this week? Any 5 stars from folks around iTunes?
We do. We have 2. We have Spike Knox and Deadlock SS.
All right. Well, thanks for the 5 stars for sure. Any shout outs this week? Mick, big shout out to you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
And big applause for you as well. Any other shout outs?
I don't have any.
I'd like to give a shout out to my old Horde guild, Ministry of Truth. They're still kicking butt on the Horde side and doing some raiding. They're over on the Winterhoof US server. They're great folks, so I just want to give a shout out to them. And to my team StormCast, Heroes of the Storm team, currently competing in the Heroes of the Pants tournament, which we are most likely going to win. That's right.
Nice. I like it. Probably not, right? I mean, there's no way that you're going to win.
Oh, there's a complete way we're going to win. What are you talking about?
Wow, we got this in the bag.
Yeah, totally. I'm not even worried about it.
Right. All right. Well, with that, I'm just going to bail on the music. And then I'm going to play, let's see. I'm going to play this one. It's been a while since I played this one. Yeah, this is the ham and eggs. That's for sure. And thank you guys so much for joining us on today's show. We cannot do this show without you. Thank you for taking the time to rate us on iTunes. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for the questions that we didn't get to today. But thanks for
didn't answer a single one.
We did get to a lot of the Twitter stuff that you guys were talking about, so that's good. Please feel free to join in on the conversations we're having at any time, and you can do that real easy. You can email us at converttoraid@gmail.com. You can call us, leave comments and questions on our raid line. That's 612-787-RAID. 612-787-7243. You can follow us on Twitter at ConvertToRaid or individually, right, Darius?
Yes, it's Pat Crane at Pat Crane with a K. Darius at Board. Man, I'm really bad at this today.
Yeah.
I'm flustered.
Right. You're at Boardmind. And Mick, you're at Mick Montgomery, right?
That's right, Mick Montgomery.
And let's go over your shows once again. You got you got the StormCast.
StormCast, which you can, it's Heroes of the Storm. You can find it at stormcastshow.com. Starting Zone, which is a World of Warcraft podcast, which you can find at thestartingzone.com. Deadfanstalking.com is where our Walking Dead podcast is living. And last but certainly not least, our comic book to movies and TV podcast called Super Heroic Show over at superheroicshow.com.
Awesome.
That's so many.
And you can also join the Bazooba Guabo Nation by heading over to converttoraid.com. That's where we have all our show downloads, our forums, there are tons of links for raiders, our audios, our videos. Everything is over there. Everything ever that you need is over at converttoraid.com for this show.
On the internet.
It's amazing. The audio show is also on Stitcher, iTunes, on the internet. But just go over to converttoraid.com.
Speaking of Stitcher, we did that thing.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about that thing?
I mean, it's short. We won an award thing.
Yeah.
Best gaming and hobby podcast of 2015, 2014. I don't remember what year it was for.
I think it was for this year, actually. We won an award, everybody!
From the Academy of Podcasters.
We can now say that we are an award-winning podcast. Before we were just nominated. Now we have won awards. An award, and it's a big one too. Because we went up against. I'm actually going to stop this for just a second because this is kind of cool. So, the Academy of Podcasters nominated a bunch of folks for like 10 people for these categories, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like a panel of people picked out the winners. So we didn't need it. It's not a popularity contest or anything like that, and we just kind of. They just took a piece of a show and then they said, okay, well, let's take a listen to this. And we beat out a bunch of folks, but thank you guys. Thanks to our community for sticking with us and supporting us and making us try to be a bigger, better show all the time. We cannot do this without you. Really, we can't do this without you.
Really appreciate it.
So thank you very much. And I'll play this again.
Thank you guys for the show.
But yeah, thank you guys for everything that you guys do. That's going to be it for the show. Thanks again, Mick.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys, for having me on. And by the way, congratulations on that award. That's super duper awesome. You guys have been doing this a long time and work really hard and have a fantastic show. So you deserve that.
It was pretty cool, man. It was just, we just like being nominated in the first place, and we're like, oh, we're not going to win.
Yeah, no way we're going to win.
That's when you win.
and that's when you win, I guess. So, all right, that's it for the show. We'll get out of here. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you on our next show next week at our new regular time. Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. I don't know exactly when it is anymore, but 7 p.m. Pacific sounds right. So for all the guys at Convert to Raid, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Shoot.